Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first Strong of the year.
Number one.
This is in new time, which we observe over here in Pleasure Matrix territories. It is actually the first week or strong, of a new operational year. So it is now year 12.
12.
Year 12. Nice even number. And
it's good to be out of the 11 and that term. I mean, 11's still going operationally, right? But calendarily,
calendarily, it is now a new year, but our fiscal year goes until the true end of year, which is like the springtime, because it's like, a new year starting when spring starts.
Who wants to start a year at the beginning of winter,
Not really anyone.
A doomer. So
we are actually changing, as you can see, our Strongly ATM Live to Nudays now instead of all days. And
should be the same for you out there. Should be the same.
It should be the same day for you in the Pain Matrix, but over here, we're just so wacky. We're such a wacky cult. We actually had a day out of time. And so it was a no day. Like, it was no day of the strong. It was like 0-0.
It was great.
So we shifted our days. So new days are on your Saturdays now, which is the fourth day out of our week. Fun day, my day, 2-day, new day. Rather than the fifth day, all day, which we used to, be on our Saturday. It's a little crazy. For the outsider to just be hearing this, it might be a little brain blast, but you get used to it pretty quick over here. I mean, pretty quick as in it took us a few months, maybe more.
To what?
To get used to new time, like being on a different calendar, having different days of the strong, having our third day of the strong be on a different Pain Matrix day. I will tell you, it's been 3 years since we've been on new time, maybe 3. And I finally, just in the last few months, have been thinking of every day in new time and the dates in new time and the year more than the Pain Matrix times. I'm like, wait, what year is it in the Pain Matrix? What day of the week is it in the Pain Matrix?
I keep on thinking it's 2013.
Yeah, he just loves the past so much. He wants to go a decade behind us.
I just keep on, whenever I'm what's the year, I just automatically think it's 2013. Which I don't know if that'll change in 2024. If I'll think it's 2014. I might.
See. So yeah, that's a little about day at a time. What would you say is how you're kind of what you do on days at a time? What's it a day for?
I enjoyed the day that had very little work in it, and I enjoyed that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good time to prepare and a good time to recover based on what your archetype is.
I am just a robot with scripts.
But for me, really, I just treated it as my one holiday that I get this year, and I was happy to have that. Because I was taking what I could get and making it feel as holiday-esque as I could.
The Pleasure Matrix is not a place that will never have any holy days or days that things are, perhaps celebrated even.
Yeah, it's like when George Washington crossed the Delaware during the American Revolution and slaughtered all the British people in their sleep. The war was going on. They didn't.
George Washington slaughtered British people in their sleep.
Don't you know the whole story of the crossing of the Delaware?
I guess so. I guess not.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so the crossing of the Delaware. You know that painting?
Yeah.
It's when George Washington and his troops crossed the Delaware, and it was on Christmas morning, at fucking at 5 a.m. or before, and everyone was just assuming there's gonna be a ceasefire during Christmas, right? It's fucking Christmas. Of course, no one's gonna do any savage shit. And literally, George Washington took his troops and slaughtered all the British soldiers in their beds on Christmas.
When actually all the savage shit of the Pain Matrix tends to happen along the holiday lines.
Yeah.
But yeah,
where it's a war, we're like George Washington crossing the Delaware.
We're not doing the holidays
we're not
yet.
Observing it, we're still using our we're slitting throats and taking names and
Metaphorically, this is a no munitions, no murder army, just to be clear.
Yes.
But it's true. We're not only do we not celebrate Pain Matrix holidays, but we're not like replacing them with other things. Right now, it's just a literally like don't. It's like a what do you call that? Like when you don't do things, it's like a way of. I can't.
We do we observe the holidays that are like stop doing things like Lent and stuff.
We do like I wouldn't even call that observing the holidays. We make sure we're aware of like cycles and biblical like timelines. Why is it that everyone does have like a time where they stop indulging or in things for like
we also
time of
do
season?
That, or we don't do that anymore?
No, we do, but I'm saying we're not like observing specific holidays. It's more like around Halloween is a time to like make sure you don't slip up because it's like they're trying to scare you. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah. Anyways, I guess we could just go into the holidays since we're talking about it.
The title of this section is called "'Tis the Season."
Yeah, my notes say "'Tis the season." It is the season of mucho holiday triggers, mucho calendar triggers. What's a calendar trigger? How is a holiday a calendar trigger? You have any answers for those questions?
How is it a calendar trigger?
Yeah.
It's like a time of the year when there's a lot of collected energy and they get everyone to kind of like go and worship this thing that's happening, this golden calf. And that energy is turned into, while that's happening, there's room for all of this other stuff to happen.
Yeah.
And people have certain things that they get triggered by, like a lot of people, not us, we would never, but a lot of people get triggered on their birthdays, on certain holidays that correspond with them. Certain archetypes get more triggered on certain holidays based on, like Thanksgiving's a big one for you,
for the good girls, for the birds,
like
the sacrificial bird getting sacrificed.
Christmas, the 7 fishes.
Which is for bad girls, which are fish.
Yeah, and Christmas is just the craziest one because they literally keep it going for like 2 months.
They bombard you for over a month now with like we were joking that we don't get affected. We totally do. Mm-hmm. But the thing about holidays and like rituals that are not telling you the rituals that are happening or why, like I could come to this, and I would have probably before I came here. I could come to the holidays around a conspiratorial angle and be like, oh, this is when they sacrifice things or people and like do whatever. But like, let's bring it personal. Yeah. How are the ways that the mind control and the conspiracies are like impacting your actual personal life? Because like we were joking, we are affected by these holidays still in different ways that are like, just different forms of mind control in our own personal stories that might not be like as crazy as what they're actually like, what's actually going down on these times of the year in terms of like on a larger scale.
I'm actually more aware of holidays since I joined DLA than when I was before, even though I did the Christmas stuff now, because now I'm like aware of like the myriad of Jewish holidays. The Jews go so much harder with holidays than the Christians. Like, they don't spend a whole month doing something, but it's like literally they're like, it's a real fucking thing how many holidays there are over there. So that's been interesting. But
so what are ways that you're affected by, let's just be specific about these winter holidays?
Nick Stanford said, don't you have your own holidays? Yeah, we addressed that before you jumped on the live. I'm sure there will be holy days in the Pleasure Matrix to come. At the moment, we are building the thing, and there isn't much time for celebration, till there is something to celebrate. And also you can live and celebrate and worship your whole every day. There's There's
Save
no
it for
reason
one
right
day a
now
year.
to save it for one reason and then be miserable the whole day. The rest of the time, that's very pain matrix. Something that I do enjoy though is like, it's like getting high. It's Christmas specifically. It's like there's something
High on
that
the Christmas spirit.
yeah, and I used to get my parents liked Christmas. I used to get presents. You know, like around now would be when I was perhaps getting a new phone. Perhaps would be happening for me at this point this Christmas. I'm sure I would probably get something like that, or there's just stuff that would be there's the stuff aspect of it, and really just like. I don't know. I remember one Christmas that I had where I was spending it, but Christmas at my house was like mainly for the material
I'm
thing.
gonna stop you here because you have a tendency at any prompt to be like, the past. Let me delve
You
into
wanted to know.
That's not what I asked you. What I actually asked you was, what are your specific triggers around
I was
holiday?
getting to them
I'm
through
just
the
telling
through
you,
the
maybe
craft of storytelling.
maybe folk
Through the craft of going in and telling the story, I was getting to my central point.
Mhm.
I don't know. What do you want? There's stuff. There's like it's time off. I just like the stuff and the time off. I mean, I could have told you what I really wanted, but it was wrapped up.
I was just saying, hurry it along when you get into the old stories from your past.
I'm done.
No,
That's
you're
what
just
I have
you're
to
just
say.
no, you're not done.
I do. I don't know what else to say about it. I could tell you my stories, but then you have to be like curl up by the fire and get ready for a real yarn.
What's
a yarn?
Is that a story?
Yeah, a yarn.
I'm challenging you because I know it's hard for you. I'm challenging you to answer this question without delving into your past and doing nostalgia. Yes.
But I am nostalgic this time of year.
So maybe that's a calendar trigger.
It's a calendar trigger. I'm nostalgic this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
I remember all of the good holiday times that I've had.
All the good old days before I came here and everything was taken from me.
Yes.
The Yuletide log, the candy canes, the Star Wars masks from under the bed that I found before presents. Let's dig a little deeper, Jesus. Can you work with me? Can we have a handshake here? Can you work with me here? Okay, the 1,000-yard ranch stare helps.
1,000-yard ranch stare.
Yeah, 1,000 Island ranch stare. That's what I was trying to say.
Right.
What are some triggers that you're going through, specifically because tis the season?
I would like to just give up and just take my hibernation period and just like go take a vacation. I want a vacation so bad. Like I want to take between Christmas and New Year's off, because I used to always, there was always like, this is the time of the year back in the pain matrix when people stop really giving a shit about results, and like everyone just kind of takes December and beginning of January off, and I miss that.
It is like meme level shit. Like, oh, no one answers any calls now. No one's doing anything. No one does anything. Especially for like office job people, which is kind of like what you used to do.
Yeah, and I loved that. I loved that period, and it was great. And I'd usually be able to like grift my way onto someone else's holiday trip or holiday, I would kind of like, hey, take me along on your little vacation. I could grift a vacation. I could grift some free food, some home cooked food.
So what I'm kind of hearing from you right now is that your holiday trigger is around this time of year. You just want to give up. You kind of want to dissociate into like getting taken care of, perhaps, or getting just like
vacay,
relax.
I want to take a holiday.
And with how the pain matrix works, how it's all opposite day fun, what do you think is probably like a reason that's around this time of year that happens?
Because they are going and planning how to turn us into human batteries and morph our genome with the genome of pigs and make a new super race of Muslim pigs. Okay. A contradiction! A Muslim pig! So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, maybe it's like a time to be more alert and aware. Maybe there's the spiritual realm is up to some
and winter is starting
right now. And winter is starting.
Nick Staniford, the I always say your name like Staniford, which is disrespectful. It's Stanifer. Nick Stanifer. It's like Stanford. Stanifer.
Okay, yes. Okay.
Nick, do you celebrate the day you joined DLA like an anniversary? No, but I'm very aware of the day that I joined.
We
I
talk
know
about
what it
that
is.
day. We know the day.
I don't know what it is on the Pleasure Matrix calendar because that would require me like going back into days that we weren't even using our calendar for.
Love
But
math.
I know what my Pain Matrix anniversary is, and I'm certainly aware. And I do expect that someone would say something to me on those days if they don't. And that's a disappointment to me.
Well, that's another thing.
I used to have a boss who always wished me happy birthday because he wrote it on his little calendar. So that's another trigger. Like when I used to work at Red Eye, you know, my boss never missed a birthday. That was like his thing, wishing people birthdays.
And do you think your boss
my
really
boss
cared about you? Do you
No,
think?
I think they just figured it was another way to artificially like, you know, it's like a Christmas bonus. It's just like an artificial. It's like getting employee of the month. You know, give it to him. He's not gonna quit his job after getting employee of the month. We can squeeze another 3 years out of him. That's like the vibes. But that stuff works is the thing. Whether it works satanically or not, it does work. And I'm addicted to that. Like I do want to be in an environment where my bosses like wish me a happy birthday. But they do definitely recognize what your birthdays are here
and talk about it.
They
and
do
give
talk
you attention. Give you attention.
There is attention to be given.
I would say like something about the Army here is that you're not going to get patted on the back for being another year older. You're not going to get treats or like any kind of like
you were like
sugar. Well, that's another thing I'm going to talk about when I talk about my holiday triggers. But like you really are not like, what is it, like something tastes sweet but's poison?
Saccharin. No, that's too sweet to wear.
There's things that are not really good for people that keep people as adult children, keep people worshiping things that shouldn't be worshipped or make your life any better, actually. And the process of like stopping doing those things, or the feeling you get when you don't get that attention anymore, but you get a different type of attention that's actually more beneficial to your life, that might not feel like a sweet saccharin treat, but makes your life better. Like we're grappling with the fact of missing the saccharin sweet, whether for me it's more literal, and like I'll get into that in a second, it's like sugar holidays, or it's like the vacay, the holiday party, the like acknowledgement through a card, whatever. Like
holiday parties, I forgot about holiday parties.
I know Mr. Pass some reminisce. So like we're dealing with really giving those things up and the addictions to those things, and when those holidays come around, really feeling the absence of those things, while also recognizing on our good days all that we've gained through giving those things up. Gained things that are more real, more true, actually benefit our lives. And like an addiction, it's might feel better to like take the heroin or eat all of the treats and get drunk with your family. I mean, for some people, or like do whatever, like whatever the thing is for you for the holiday. But your life, it doesn't work. Your life goes back even worse. So you get like a come down, and it's like they give you a little off gassing for like 4 times a year to do that, and the rest is drudgery.
Yeah.
Like our lives don't actually change that much around holiday seasons in the Pain Matrix versus our day-to-day.
Not that different.
We're trying to even things out.
Means stone village. What is it a Germanic name, Stanifer? Is it a old English, Irish name, Anglo name, Anglo-Germanic? Is it perhaps Norwegian?
As you can tell, Jesus really wants to talk about your last name.
What is it? What is the origin of that word, Stone Village?
So for me, some of my calendar triggers around like Christmas specifically is I have a major sugar addiction. I've had it from the womb. Both my parents' sides of their families have major sugar addictions.
She's like a crack baby.
I'm like a crack baby, but with sugar. And all the holiday times are times where we super indulged in alcohol, which is just sugar, and sweets and treats and foods. And when I am day-to-day living, I want sugar, but when it's the holidays, oh, I want it real bad. So bad, in fact, that I like manifest it being offered to me, as in last night when someone just came over and offered me like a giant bag of treats and
came over? That sounds like they came to your door.
No. I was talking to someone already who was working somewhere, and they were like behind a desk, and they were like, I have this like sack of candy. Do you want it?
It's
like
a
someone
trash
gave
bag
it to me.
full of
It was
candy.
not a trash bag. It was like a grocery plastic bag. I didn't see it, but it was like filled with chocolate bars, Reese's, etc. And I had to say no because I'm not doing that right now. I'm not doing sweets, especially around the holidays. So it's a time for me to dissociate through treats and sweets. It's a time where I'm triggered because like my family doesn't process emotions or talk about feelings, and instead uses sweets to drown those out and like satisfy craving actual like connection or emotional like processing or whatever. So that's like what I would rather do around this time and how I'm kind of triggered around holidays. I'm sure there's like other holiday triggers, but that's like the loudest one for me around this time. And I talk more about sugar and bread and like what sugar means to white women and witches in DeWitch magazine, which you can always get a PDF of if you DM me or hit me up to get on the mailing list. I have an Instagram
there's a new
too.
Issue
Apparently there's a new issue that's been like in the works for a long time that I have not put out yet. It's getting there though. It's coming. It's on the way. Anything else to say about these holidays before we move on?
It's like the combined opiate of like the holiday that I like. It's like how everyone is just a little bit nodding off in their own little world. I think it's also what the elites like about it.
Yeah, real docile population.
Let's get it. Everyone's being docile. I can be docile. Yeah.
And they typically like pull the craziest shit in terms of like the play that's happening.
People
with culture.
Freak out. People call you and scream at you on the phone.
Everyone's triggered around these times. Everyone's triggered in ways that look different depending on who you are and what your shit
Everyone
is.
takes an extra meeting with the Jehovah's Witness across the street just to be like, am I still valuable? Like,
people are needy around these times. People kill themselves, self-murder
suicide.
Around these times.
You gave yourself an extra chuckle when you said that.
You know me, I delight in death and destruction.
Honestly, suicide rates are really high during this time.
Yeah.
And also, it's just a fucking Norse. It's a Norse holiday.
And you know,
not a Christian holiday.
The Bible actually tells you to not celebrate these holidays. You know, it says don't cut down a tree and bring it into your house. Don't adorn it with lights.
It says all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you cut down a tree and bring it into your house?
Seems like a little death cult-y to me. A little death cult worship.
You're taking something that is has everlasting, and it stands for
evergreen.
Life. It's a penis, basically, because it's a erect fucking thing, and you're going and you're chopping it down, feminizing the penis, and then it dies.
And then you're like putting its corpse in your place and praying to a Satan Santa to bring you things in exchange for your worship of him. That's a secret that now has. I was thinking about the Elf on the Shelf like yesterday, and how do you think that was like making children? It's like a new Christmas tradition that like you have an elf that you put on a shelf that watches your children and reports back to Santa. And I was wondering, like,
that's scary.
Is that like kind of like Alexa season, like getting children? Not only does it to and like being surveilled with Santa, but like it just seems like an extra like 2000s caveat added on with the elf on the shelf.
1984.
Yeah,
the big elf.
Anyways, I think that's enough about this season. We're just trying to talk about it because we are still enthralled by it in some ways, and just talk it out before it happens. Maybe we'll have a better time through this strong.
Through this strong, through this very merry strong.
Yeah. What about wants, don't needs? We didn't go into that because we kind of just got straight into the holidays, but we start out these lives talking about what I don't need, and what you don't want. So what are some things that you don't want?
Why don't you go? Why don't you lead the way?
All right. Some things that I don't need. I don't need to accept candy from strangers
In large trash bags.
large quantities. I don't need to use sugar or excitement or chaos to avoid processing my feelings. I don't need to gatekeep or girl boss or whatever the third one is. Gaslight. I'm not much of a gaslighter though.
Right there. That was a pretty good gaslight.
More
right
of
there.
a gatekeeper.
I don't gaslight. It's actually pronounced jaslight.
Yeah, that's a funny joke. I'm just saying, between the two of us, I think you like gaslighting more. That's all.
Sure.
I don't need to procrastinate. Typically around feeling emotions. Emotions are a superpower. I've been told it oftentimes here in this army. You're gonna give a wave. That they are. They move things faster. They are a faster processor. And they're like, when I don't process them and use my emotions to like figure things out, it does take too long. My life takes too long. So I don't need to avoid processing emotions. And I think that's all for today about my not needs. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next strong.
Just kidding.
Is next strong milk? No? Or is milk in too strong?
I think it's in too strong.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I don't want to. Let me consult my list. I can't think of anything off the top of the head.
Well, we are scripted.
We do have script for these purposes.
We make our own scripts. We're not scripted by our cult feeders. It's not.
Sometimes, but for the
Hasn't
most
been
part.
hasn't been for these lives at least.
I don't even know what I was thinking. I don't want to be a sick fuck.
I saw that this morning. I was like, what? You're getting real creative.
I don't want to be distracted by bad things. I don't want to be tempted and fall for temptation. I don't
Apple
want
biters, we call those.
Apple bite? Lotus eaters, you mean? What's an apple biter?
It's like a person who bites the apple.
Ah. Yeah, I don't want to have migraines anymore.
All right.
DLA careers, past and present, part 11 out of 12.
Before we get into the main meal
The
of
main
the day,
attraction. The thing you've been waiting for.
As always, we are sponsored by the Automat. It's our one and only sponsor. And if you are watching now or late at a later date, which, by the way, we are now like completely shadow banned on Instagram. We used to get like around like 100 to 200 views on our videos would come in the first week or two for Strong. In the last like 7 of these that we've done, 0. Not even when we've like tested it with another account to like go and watch it. It's just like they're all at 0 and stay at 0. So I don't know if it's just that they're like making sure none of the views show up for us, or if they make
to discourage us when really it's being shown to hundreds of thousands of people. And
because we've always been very encouraged by views and likes here in this cult because we're very followed on the. We are very followed, to be clear. We're just not They don't show it. They don't show it.
We get looks, not
We're not.
likes.
We're not. Yeah, we're not here for the like counts. If we were, it'd be weird that we'd still be here after our track record on that front. But it is interesting to see, and I'm wondering like what we started talking about or why, or maybe they just took a long time to like get into it. Anyways, but this is sponsored by the Automat. So make a wash of belief. You can make a wash financially, which is where most people start, in a multiple of 12 to cash.me/washitall to paypal.me/washitall. And then you can follow that up with a social wash, and you can DM me if you want to know a social wash to do. I can give one to you. They're all pretty much the same at the beginning, which is just to make a post, share this live, and talk about it. Say good, ill, or neutral about Daylife Army. Just tag our accounts and, mention our name when you do stuff. And that's a social wash. So that being said, I just need to look at something that's apparently time sensitive. 1 second. Can you not do that? Okay. I'm trying to. Can you just not look at the screen for a second? I have to open up a message. Thank you. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So, without further ado,
adieu, auf Wiedersehen, good night.
We are going to get into DLA careers past and present, part 11 out of 12. We're so close to being done with this topic, this series. And we're getting into today a little bit about why this is a military cult and not just a loosey-goosey cult that has no hierarchical structure or perhaps is, based around one charismatic leader. It's actually a military, and it's no munitions, no murder, but it's a military in terms of how it is structured, how, we have orders that we follow. There's, ranks, and it's very much like, how do I put it? How we live our lives is, I wouldn't say in the same way as how someone would in the US military by any means. We're not doing like training exercises out on the lawn. There's no like morning rever.
Missions, no murder. That's basically everything else is pretty similar though.
we are like the first force, because it always starts with the Army, and then you get to like the Navy, the Marines.
Well, the Marines are always the first on the ground.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, the Army are like...
The Army are the ones who they sit their butts down.
They sit their butts down and they're like there with the territory. So that's what we do for expanding Pleasure Matrix territory. And we structure our lives here while we're in this Army like an Army soldier would. So we're like... We've talked about how we're not celebrating and like living in the Pleasure Matrix. The Pain Matrix is, it is disintegrating, but it is still very much the dominant force in control, that matrix is what most people believe in. It's where most people store their belief, and it is the territory that is like running things. So while we take belief out of that matrix and expand pleasure matrix territory, which to be clear is not like a thing we invented, it's just we came to the pleasure matrix and we are expanding this territory early before other people do it or choose to, enter into that reality out of pain matrix reality. So like there's a time and a place for a different way of being here, but right now, as it is getting built, as we are like in the beginning stages, it's a military. And we're in the army.
I think there will always be a military, right?
But there won't be other things built on top of it.
There will be.
But yeah, there will be. But right now, there aren't things built on top of it. That's what I meant to say. Like,
not the commander in chief.
Yeah.
A 5-star general.
Military.
5-star general is a general of both the Navy and the military.
But yeah, the rest of the regular general would be different. Sorry, I'm looking at something. So,
Nick Stanford said Navy ranks the highest. A Navy officer of any rank can tell any Army general what to do. I don't know about that, but there is the general like the.
I feel like Nick Stanford of all people would know that more than us in terms of like how the actual army.
We do not need to simp to the intellectual.
I'm not simping to him. I'm actually telling you that you are really acting like.
I do know something about this, and I just said what I know.
Okay.
That's all.
So I think that like explains a little bit of why it's structured, why we're in an army right now, as opposed to like a cult being something different. If your cult's in the pain matrix, it makes sense that it wouldn't be an army. You're already in an established matrix. You don't need to build out territory in some place new. You just can have another subcult within that cult.
Also, what Nick Stanford is saying is false. That is not true.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
But you just were saying like we should really defer to Nick Stanford's judgment on this topic. We've been in an army for 6 years.
I'm literally saying he was in the Marines.
A Navy commander can give orders to a 5-star general. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Anyway, yeah.
That's fine. Okay.
That's fine.
Whatever, Jesus. So like going. Yeah, like
that's true, but what he's saying is not true.
What is it not true?
It doesn't matter. I mean, we can get into it, but
okay. How were our times here? So this is about like what our careers were like in this army in the past versus now. And like with that structure in mind, I wanted to get into, or we're going to get into, like what was structured like an army when we first came here, how we were experiencing that versus now, what is more or less structured like an army, how are we experiencing that now?
Right.
Just, that whole thing. So we came on at different times by a year. He's been here a year longer. So when you first came here, how much was it like an army for you?
How much was what like an army? This cult?
Cult. Yeah. How much of it was structured in that way?
It was pretty structured like an army. Yeah. Are you trying to say that it's gotten more structured as an army, or that it's gotten?
I have my own answers to that, but like, what was your experience?
Oh, that it was structured like an army. There was, ranks that were very.
Okay, maybe structure isn't the right word. Was your day-to-day experience in the beginning like that of an army in terms of like what you did, how your time was structured, like what parts were and what parts weren't?
Well, I don't know. it was pretty structured like an army. It was just, we would get orders from the bottom brass and then push them to the grunts. It was just kind of like, I think there was a little bit less, um, it was less strict when we got here in certain ways. And it's tightened up in the last 6 years in a lot of ways. And I guess that's been more military vibes. But you went through basic training. You were given a test at the end. You had to do the stuff, and then you're given a rank, and then it functioned pretty much like a military from the beginning. I mean, that's what I was interested in. I think joining was the military aspect of the thing.
Yeah. My experience or my perspective is that it's always been structured like that, but like the day-to-day experience has been really honed and reined in, and like things that we thought, or that the generals, I guess, thought could be kind of like freedoms given, or like choosing their own like creative spins around orders, or like given more like less specific orders around day-to-day life. I
Mhm.
think at every turn that proved to like have kind of disastrous results in terms of like what soldiers did without
Mhm.
like very specific structure. And I think that's something we experience, my own experience, I guess, of being here over a long period of time and like lasting here and staying as people have left for various reasons, is that it has been like honing in, and like I'm getting, it's less and less there's less and less like choice, really, is what it is. And I think that like part of what I came here for was a structure that, told me what to do and gave me the support to do it. But there were like things that I held on to that I had, whether those be like addictions or patterns or programs that
Mhm.
the Pain Matrix instilled in me, that were like, you can be creative and it'll be great, like all in the wrong places. Like, as those things have been like figured out and honed in, and I have like less choice, and I'm just like given things, on the one hand I gripe about it and I have my oppositional defiance about it in my own ways. You have your own oppositional defiance in different ways. But in a cut and dry, like looking at the picture of my life has gotten better, and I have like been overcoming problems that I've
Mhm.
had as this army has become more of like a strict army. And do I want my life to be like that forever? Hell no. I The point isn't to like be in an army forever. um you can have like a career, you can have like a military career, but like you go and have like a tour of, you do your tour in Afghanistan or whatever, like you do your specific contract, and then you don't live like you lived in the army. You use that intense discipline in your life afterwards. You no longer have people telling you what to do, and you make the choices on your own. But I think that um, what we've discovered here, or at least my own perspective of what I've discovered in this army, is that you have to just pare everything down and get to the core of everything through like paring down, less choice, more specificity, more structure. And then, I think like if it's like we've talked about the hourglass before. It's like that hourglass, you get to that point and then come back out.
Mhm.
Anyways, what about you? What's
I
your
agree with that. Yeah.
what parts of that are hard for you?
Which parts?
What parts of like this becoming more and more structured and strict and like less choice?
Well, just as a man, I feel like a little bit like I want to make more of my own choices. Um,
In what areas?
Just in my life with like how I spend my time more, and just, you know, in my personal life. And so I guess I resist things because I have a complicated relationship, I guess, and needing to be told what to do, or wanting to be told what to do, of like I do and I don't want it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think that most people our age and younger have a big problem. Maybe it's just the culture. Maybe everyone does, but I feel like it wasn't as much for people who are now in their like 40s, 50s and 60s and beyond. But like being told what to do and being like really salty about that, yet in every way you live your life or subconsciously wanting to be told what to do. And that push and pull is real fun to deal with as a feeder who's responsible for someone or like managing someone. And I do it to the generals who, you know, they give me orders, and my oppositional defiance is kind of that I like don't follow the orders, but like on accident, like, oh, I didn't know that, or like I thought it was something different. When really like my unconscious self is just railing against the fact that I'm like out of power because white women love and are addicted to power. It's where we in the pain matrix, it's what we naturally have, or it's what we have. It wouldn't be natural, I guess. It's what we have in the pain matrix have been programmed to worship and want. It's not actually what serves us. So losing or letting go of that, washing that through this, I still cling to it, and like it flares when someone tells me what to do. And I'm like, they don't have the power to tell me, they shouldn't have the power to tell me what to do. I'll have the power by fucking up the order they told me to do. Or I'll show power by making everything mess up. Even if this is like unconscious behavior, or varying levels of conscious to unconscious. Mm. So what?
So what?
What about you?
About what? I'm confused. I don't exactly know what we're answering.
I'm kind of talking about how do we still have like oppositional defiance while being in an army if we wanted to come here and wanted to follow orders and wanted a structure. Why is it that we rail against it so often?
Because that's just part of the fun, right? That's how, you know, I figure out a way. That's my price, bro. Just railing against the thing that I don't know. I don't know why I do it. It feels compulsive.
Dig into why, maybe.
I'm not sure, but it is a compulsive thing, I believe.
I can see it as a compulsive thing in the same way that mine's like, how did I fucking mess up that order? It seemed so clear. Why did I like think this was something else? It's because it's like I'm operating on a program, you know? When the way you accept information is very much like no matter how many times you consciously say, like, I cannot accept information well without an attitude, or my price being that I'm really bitchy about the orders I'm given. Like, you're very conscious after the fact, but like, no matter what, no matter how many times, you'll just do the same thing, just over and over again.
Yep.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy how that works.
Very crazy. All right. Well,
what about what about me? I feel like you have the mood right now when you're like, I'm just getting like, what do you call it? Your mood right now is very much like enough already. Enough of this humiliation ritual I'm being subjected to.
Yeah, I don't know. I have thoughts on it, but yeah.
Well, I need you to like figure it out and not just be like a little depressed.
I don't know.
Puddle
I just sometimes I'm like going through like these whole things and like being like, this is why we